Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are really excited to be here. I'm fighting with my microphone. I'm just going to let that do its thing. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Hump Day, all of the things. So we are here to talk about our weekly LinkedIn marketing flow. We got a ton of questions on this. And so to kick us off, if you have not met me already, my name is Stephanie. I am the Chief Revenue Officer here at Produce Your Podcast. We are the agency who also oversees the Podcast Management Academy and then this community as well. And my partner in crime is here, Camille, as well. Camille, if you want to introduce yourself, we are the marketing team.
Hi, I'm Camille. I'm the marketing manager on Tracy DeForge's team at Produce Your Podcast.
Yay. So we have a lot we want to cover with you today. Again, big picture, what we're going to talk through is LinkedIn marketing. Also, just kind of talk through our growth and progression with LinkedIn. It is our main platform for our marketing, our client acquisition, our lead generation. We are big old LinkedIn fans here at Produce Your Podcast. And we did get a lot of questions in terms of like workflow. What are we doing over there? What's working? What's not? So what we want to do is kind of walk you through how the two of us got started as a team, what that looked like from the very beginning. For context, we're actually about a year old as an actual marketing team. Now, Produce Your Podcast has been around since 2016, but it grew really organically and it grew a lot through referrals. So when Camille and I both joined the team almost about 2 years ago at this point, we kind of came together as we were both new and kind of formed this marketing team. And we really, quote, went out to market and did some external marketing, cold market, bringing them in, prospecting, all of that. And so we're actually right now, I think it's technically our first birthday. Happy birthday to us. So we want to walk you through what that looks like, because for many of you, you're going to be starting out. And it seems like there's a lot of interest in LinkedIn as well. So we're super pumped about that. Really quick before we dive in here, I'm still fighting my microphone, bear with me. Before we dive in, one little note of housekeeping. If you have not seen the banner update, the events in the group, the pinned post, our excited DMs, all of the things, we are teaching a very special masterclass here in the group on February 27th, 28th, and 29th. It is all about launching and growing your podcast management business. If you are someone who is an aspiring podcast manager, you're going to want to get your butt to this, because we are talking through the packaging, the positioning, how to generate clients, how to keep up to date with workflows, what it means to be a podcast manager, all of those things. But if you are a current podcast manager, I would really recommend you register for that as well. The big thing that we keep hearing from the existing podcast managers in this group, it's more efficiencies. It's how to land clients. It's how to scale this thing when it's just you. We're covering all of that, which is why it's a couple days, right? We'll do a session each day. Check out the events tab in the group, click the banner at the top of the group, click the featured post at the front of the group. You'll see it no matter where you go, but do make sure you register for that. But let's dive in terms of LinkedIn. So number one, Camille, let's just talk through what this looks like today, because we're now a year old. We're big old people in terms of being a marketing team, but let's walk through what this looks like now, and then we'll kind of go backwards.
Well, now we try to work 2 weeks to a month ahead of time, pre-posting, pre-scheduling, having everything ready to go on our LinkedIn platform. We post on PYP and Tracy, along with many other social media platforms, but right now we're talking about LinkedIn. We started out posting 3 times a week. It was a lot smaller. That was our bandwidth at the time. That's all we could handle. And it has grown a ton in the last year.
And I think what's interesting too, so when we say we were posting like 3 times a week, and by the way, when we say PYP, that's short for Produce Your Podcast.
Oh,
Again,
sorry.
that's the agency. No, you're good. I do it all the time. And Tracy's like, you've got to say Produce Your Podcast. No one knows what PYP is.
Yeah.
So when we were posting 3 times a week, as we got started, now, again, I mentioned this earlier, the agency itself really grew through referrals. So we had a lot of like kind of inner circle social proof. We had a lot of people that could speak to us as humans, but we didn't have a ton of like this external social proof. We didn't know even the language we were using, right? Like we always kind of pick on this phrase in our world, the business branded podcast. That's such an industry term. We tried to float it to the external market. Nobody resonated with it. Nobody knew what we were talking about. We just had so much learning to do. And I remember one of the earliest conversations we had when we got together, Camille, was like, let's just go in being okay with the fact that like we're going to have to learn everything. Like we think we know,
Yeah.
we have somewhat of an idea what we need to be talking about, but truly like we knew nothing. And we still make that joke a year later. It's like, okay, we're a year later, we know some stuff, we don't know everything. All you can do is just keep putting stuff out. Like the imperfect action, especially when you're new, is what separates the people that grow and evolve and the people that don't. So all of that is to say, like, number one, just release the pressure valve of being like, I don't even really know what exactly to talk about. And if you guys want us to talk through content angles, we can. We'll probably do that in a separate video because we want to talk through workflow today. But we're more than happy to dive into that. But please just know again, like, make your best guess. What do people that want to offset some of their podcast work need to know? Right? That could be everything from how many hours they're going to get back for a week, or how they would redirect their time, or what a podcast manager is, or whatever, right? But just start somewhere, because the very first thing you're going to do, it's like working out. You're building a muscle, you're building your marketing bicep, right? The only way you do that is by doing the reps. So you just have to get yourself into the workflow. Say, I'm going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to load it directly into LinkedIn if I have to. And let me just start there. Right. And that's exactly
Absolutely.
what we did as well. 3 times a week. We're whipping it around. We're just doing our best here, trying to figure out what needs to happen. So just start there. Right.
Yeah, and we mostly started with Canva graphics that we created based on feedback we were getting from our audience, which of course has evolved a lot in the last year, which they kind of served us our content of what to post and what they wanted to hear and what we needed to be changing our branding message to.
Yep. So 3 times a week, we were generally working about 2 weeks in advance when we could. Camille and I would meet for about an hour. We still have our marketing meetings on Tuesdays, but we would sit down for about an hour on Tuesdays and kind of map together what that needed to look like. And we use Loomly to pre-schedule, but if you don't need an external tool, you can also pre-schedule directly into LinkedIn. Most platforms do have an in-platform option for that. And really, like Camille said, like using Canva. Canva is an amazing tool. We still use it. Like I'm a big fan of Canva. And there's a lot that you can do in that as well, even with like a free account, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't
Yeah.
need to pay yet.
I love that. Okay, cool. I'm looking down. You guys should see the outline we put together for this session tonight, because it was like we can give you a little bit of everything, but we also didn't want to be super overwhelming. So again, that was kind of where we had started about 12 months ago. Now we're at a place where we're getting a little bit further out. We eventually added a third member to our team who helps us with graphics. Her name is Naomi. You guys will see her in this group as well. And it's funny because it feels like no time has passed, and it also feels like it's been 5 years. Like 12 months is a long time in the online business space. So the learnings and the growth from those 12 months is just so invaluable. We still use Canva. We still use Loomly. We still map everything in Google Sheets. Like it's not like a fancy calendar, right? It's literally a Google Sheet that has like the date and the slot, AM, PM. And we just drop our captions in there as a team. We look at them. And then once we have them prepped and ready, they go and they get preloaded into Loomly. So that's really where they're at. In terms of today and where we would really recommend you guys start. So I'll come back to the idea of imperfect action, but also that idea of just start with 3 days a week. The biggest question we get after we share that with any conversation is, so wait, are you just talking about one platform, or are you talking about everywhere? Our team today, we do post on multiple. LinkedIn to this day is still our most lucrative, our most effective, our largest audience. I still personally, because I'm in the sales role as well, when I think about sales and marketing, I think LinkedIn. We do post on Instagram, we post on Facebook, etc. The reason I share that with you is because I think there's a lot of pressure to be like this omnipresent force when you're like day one into your new business or whatever. You don't need to be. Like, I don't know, Camille, do you remember when we started like really talking even about YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube felt like it was a lot.
Yeah, but
YouTube
we
is a
didn't even start
huge
till like
platform.
November. Like it's kind of recent.
And I panicked.
Yeah, we're still panicking.
Yeah.
So
But
all of
yeah,
that is to say,
absolutely.
like, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna absolutely don't feel like you need to be on every single platform. Pick one, master that platform, learn your audience, learn your content, and then expand, and it will be a weight lifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, and here's the other thing too, is like for us, like in the last 12 months, we've even had some false starts, right? Like we were like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to do YouTube. And then we just didn't have the bandwidth for it. So it kind of got pushed off. Like we literally just started a training program for YouTube in like November. I think we started, remember, it was
Mhm.
right around my birthday. And I was like, happy birthday to me. We are finally leaning into this thing after what
Yeah.
feels like long last. So tactically, when we use Loomly for pre-scheduling, like we'll put out posts. But again, like our major audience and our major platform is still LinkedIn. We are very, very slowly adding these things in, but none of us are in a rush because we have this good thing going on LinkedIn. We are not looking to mess that up. Like, we're not like, oh my God, this thing is really working. We're converting and having great marketing. What if we just burnt it to the ground and went over to a new platform and
Yeah.
stretched ourselves super thin? So again, for you guys, if you are solo or you're new or whatever, like you don't actually have to be omnipresent. That might sound counterintuitive, but like if you can get one platform working and monetizing, great.
Mm,
Like there's nothing bad about that, right? But anyway, let's talk
absolutely.
about content forms on LinkedIn. And Camille, this is very much in your wheelhouse, so I won't even try to speak to this, but can you walk through what we're seeing right now in terms of types of content and what we would recommend people do? Let's look at LinkedIn just because that's the one that we're best at too.
So LinkedIn right now, the top days to post are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, based on it being a professional platform. So with that, think about starting a newsletter. This only has to be once a month and it will ping your entire follower list. You'll send them a notification. In that newsletter, though, it's really important. It's not a MailChimp newsletter. This is a LinkedIn newsletter. So the audience is looking for teaching content. They're looking for knowledge. They're looking to learn. They're not looking for your sales pitch. Um, what else is going on LinkedIn? Video content is massive right now. If you can set aside some time to create some video content, it's really resonating and boosting the algorithm huge.
Yeah.
And third, I think Canva. Go back to our basics. You can't go wrong. My only note on Canva is don't make it like a selfie. LinkedIn has said and posted they're going to bump it. They're not interested. They don't want to see your dog. They don't want to see you out in the wild. It sounds horrible, but make it teaching content. Make it look okay. Best you can do. Make it look pretty. Make it look basic. It doesn't matter. Just make it teaching content. Make it worthy, and it will get boosted organically. You don't have to pay. Everything will go.
Yeah. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, don't fight against the platform. Like for LinkedIn, for example, and this is really interesting because I will say, like, we don't have like a ton of photography as a company, but we do have Canva, right? And we have
Mhm.
some videos that like Tracy has pre-recorded and things like that we repurposed a number of times. So we're not going to like go out of our way to be like, oh my God, we need these like perfect photos. And I think for a lot of people, especially when they're kind of starting their business, there's varying levels of comfort and confidence in terms of being on video, being in photos that are out in the world, like that can feel intimidating. That's kind of another reason why we like LinkedIn, because I do feel like it makes it more accessible for people when they're just starting out. If you're like, I don't even have a professional headshot, which I don't, mine's like a million years old. So there's, but you can get around it on that platform. Whereas if you
Mhm.
start with like an Instagram or even like a TikTok or one of those where it's so real photo heavy and video heavy and you're not there yet, it almost becomes like this false barrier. And then you do a whole lot of nothing, right? Which defeats the whole purpose of building out marketing. So just to reiterate, Camille, because I want to make sure I'm understanding too. So in terms of the
Mhm.
3 days a week, Canva graphics, I think we could talk a little bit about how-tos and like teachable content, the LinkedIn newsletter, which we can dive more into here in a second, and then videos, you said, right? Or was it Canva, a second one that I missed, and then the video
No,
content?
absolutely. Canva doesn't have to be pretty. No pictures of your dog. As much as I would like to.
I would like that
Love
too,
to.
but LinkedIn is like the annoying,
Doesn't like it.
boring older brother.
Yeah. And video content, however you can get that video content. And that can be cut up and however you want, repurposed. It doesn't have to be beautifully polished. It just has to be video content that people can watch. They like to relate and learn.
Yeah. And
And the
LinkedIn is
last one
becoming a
was,
lot more video friendly too. Like they're going to take
yeah.
those videos and boost them naturally up in the algorithm to get more eyeballs on them, which is what you're looking for, right? So don't
Mhm.
fight the platform, right?
Yeah, yeah, use the platform. And another one that we thought was huge to add on, and we did a lot of research, it took a lot of marketing bandwidth, was our LinkedIn newsletter, which has a huge open rate. And I feel like people look forward to it. I look forward to it.
I thought you were going
But
to say,
yeah.
remember we tried the PDFs? It was like the swipe with like the click and it was the multiple pages and we like spent all this time
Oh,
putting them out and then like nobody clicked on them. We were like, oh, okay, Cool.
Oh, they had carousels back in the day. Remember
Yeah.
carousels from Instagram where you slide through it?
Mhm.
LinkedIn has since removed all carousels. So people were looking for a way around it, which is downloading a PDF. And then you can still swipe
Yeah.
random,
That's why I
random
made that
thing.
face because I was like, oh, I know exactly what she's about to say. I was ready. But I was like, oh
Went off
no, the
topic there now.
carousels. We'll never get that time back.
No, sorry guys.
I know, I know. So in terms of video content, because if you heard that and you wanted to turn off this video and go like crawl into a hole somewhere, like please don't.
Mhm.
Again, you can make this so perfectly imperfect. Like the whole important thing is to just start. So I was talking about this actually. We just came from our marketing meeting and then we stayed on to get on here and like talk with you guys tonight. But anyway, I was telling the story when I was with a coaching company for about a decade prior to my role here. We used to just set aside, I think it was 2 Fridays a month, and we would set aside 2 hours. And it was me and the CEO of that company, right? And we used to go to a local co-working space armed with our iPhones. Like there was no fancy camera, nothing. And we would just record videos right on our phone. We would do these quick, I think at the time it was probably still 60 seconds. It was a while ago. I don't remember the details, but we would record videos on our phone and we would just knock out a bunch of content. And then we would pre-schedule all of those. Right. So it was like we only had to quote stop down to create content like once or twice a month, but then we were ahead by a couple weeks. The pre-scheduling thing and the content activity blocking of that was super helpful because quite frankly, like we were busy. We're growing a business just like you guys are. We're like that now. There's not always time in the day where you can just in between calls like record a video, right? Like not everybody is so good on the spot. And so yes, there's definitely power in like using the pockets of your spare time to create this content. But if that doesn't work for you, oh my gosh, schedule it 2 weeks from now. Go into a Friday, put in your hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't care if you only get 3 videos from that. If you're posting one video a week just to get started, you have 3 weeks worth of videos right there. Like,
Just want to
boom,
say one
done.
thing too.
Yeah,
The
go.
videos don't have to be long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, we're sitting here having a conversation and it's going to be longer teaching content. But even 1 to 3 minutes, it's perfect. You can write down a little script of what you want to talk about, take your camera, go and record a few things that you have on your mind, a few things that are pain points for your customers as well. They'll be huge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And again, like let us know in the comments below because we can talk through content angles and stuff. We can even screen share and show you guys in a future video. We want to kind of walk through workflow and process today, but if you want that closer look, like we are more than happy. So definitely just let us know below in the comments. But I mean, again, like give yourself all of the opportunity to just get the thing done.
Yeah.
And I always joke too when we get on and we do like live video. And like I said, my background is in coaching. Camille and I have coached clients together. Like we understand that in that role sometimes like there is a level of like we want to push you and hug you at the same time, right? Like we're going to push you with love to
Yeah.
say if it makes you uncomfortable, like do it anyway. And I know that everyone on the internet says that, but let me tell you something. When you are starting a business, the number one thing that stops people from doing literally anything is confidence. That's all it is, right? Like so many people say like, well, I can't do that because I'm not great on video or I've never done it before, so I can't do it. There has been so many things in your life that you had never done before and you still did it, and you can do this too, right? So again, I think there's confidence, there's sometimes that comes into play, and then also knowledge gap. From a confidence thing, the only way out is through, like, you just got to do it. I don't have a better way of doing that. I don't have a magic bullet or
Right.
formula or anything like that. But in terms of the knowledge gap, what we want you to take away from this, again, we love LinkedIn. We recommend LinkedIn. If you want to go and do LinkedIn, you have our full support. Think about those 3 days a week of posting. It can be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like Camille said, those are really kind of those
Yeah.
optimal moments. But like do
Mhm.
it in a way that works for you first. Do some pre-recorded quick videos on your cell phone. They don't need to be perfect, right? Put together some stuff on Canva. And here's the other thing. If you want to get really nerdy about this, if you've never posted or marketed anywhere, the whole point of starting is to get the algorithm used to you having content out there. Nobody is going to even see the early stuff, and that's okay
Yeah.
because you want to be testing now, right? Like you can do it imperfectly. It is all good. You never know what's going to catch somebody too. You might say something in a video that you think is so inconsequential, but then somebody out there is like, that's exactly what I need, right? Like, can we talk? And that's all you're looking for. That's just the getting started element of it. Again, from confidence, the only way out is through. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but from a knowledge gap, start with these tips and then just build from there. Like you have all the time in the world to build this thing, but you just have to get started, you know?
Just have to show up for yourself and push yourself to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel
And
like
it's
you're
It's
going to judge
uncomfy for
yourself the
everyone.
hardest,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
No one
Yep.
else is going to,
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth?
right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's really quickly talk about LinkedIn newsletter because we did touch on it a little bit here. So
Yeah.
do you want to talk through kind of the LinkedIn newsletter strategy and how we started with it and all of that good stuff?
I think the hardest part was making the banner. And
Yeah.
it'll tell you the
Yeah, you're right.
dimensions. So make sure to check out those dimensions before you make it 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so funny.
um, yeah, no, the LinkedIn newsletter, you can embed YouTube clips, you can put links to websites, you can upload a whole video from Vimeo. The main thing is not make it too long, make it some teaching content that you're really passionate about, and it'll come through. Make it something that is a pain point for your client, and it'll ping your entire list. Your open rate will go up every single time you do it. And people know that you're coming back with quality teaching content for them, that you're not going to waste their time with the sales pitch in this newsletter. And it'll boost your algorithm huge. It'll keep your list active and more people adding on. It's don't forget like a call to action at the end, just a little sales boost
Just
there,
almost.
but just a little one. But yeah, that's my tips on LinkedIn newsletters. How about you?
Yeah, no, I love it. And I'll just kind of even tell you guys a little more specifically. So, for us on LinkedIn, what our newsletter is called the Podcast Growth Accelerator Report. We chose that because it actually calls back to one of our strategic programs for podcast clients. But for most of you, I mean, you're going into podcast management, right? So, this is going to be a podcast, something or other focused newsletter. If you have that PDF guide, that Biz Start guide, if you don't comment below, I'll send it to you. We talked in there about what your differentiators are and what are the benefits to somebody of working from you. I would take that benefit and think about kind of crafting your newsletter that calls back to those benefits, right? So if your whole thing is like you managing someone's podcast gives them their time back and sets them up better for marketing growth, let's just say you're a marketing person, right? That can be kind of the overarching angle of your podcast newsletter. So you want to name it something that goes back to that core benefit because people are going to follow it. And you can make the educated guess that, okay, they're following this thing because they're interested in whatever that benefit is, right? From there, from a content standpoint, if you do not have all the time in the world to create like endless content and you're also early, so you're still figuring it out, look at what other people in the podcasting industry are talking about and you can link back to it and then like comment on it, right? Like, hey, I saw this super interesting video. I'll link to it here. Here's what I think about this, right? And here's what I think you need to know. So I've seen a lot of stuff for podcast managers in particular, like tool comparisons, right? Like Descript versus Headliner or whatever, right? Giving them kind of a background into, hey, if you can get this part of your podcast process taken care of, you'll get those 5 to 10 hours back and you can talk through that, right? So again, I don't want to go so down the rabbit hole on content angles here. I know I keep saying
Love
that. In my head, I'm like, we promised workflow. But I want to be able to give you guys some of the context of it because if you're just starting out, I mean, you're probably like we were 12 months ago and will always be a student of in marketing, which is what the heck do we talk about?
Yeah.
Right? So go back to what are the benefits of working with you? What do you do to help people as a podcast manager? Pull some of that into your own LinkedIn newsletter because the people that follow it have an interest in that thing, which is great because then you can talk to them about it. And then your content, if you don't have your own content, call back to these other places. Obviously, source them, obviously, attribute it back to them, but like pull articles from agencies, right? Pull podcast data trends, pull articles that some of these platforms like a Descript or like a Headline or like Canva, right, are
Prove
doing
that you're
and talk
relevant.
about them.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then
I
Camille
feel
had
like we
also
could talk an
mentioned that call
hour.
to action. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just have one thing. I feel like
Yeah,
we could
please.
talk an hour about how to position your content on what to write because people want, like, they care about them. They want to relate. What's in it for them? What can they learn? What are they getting from you? And that's it, like Stephanie said, your differentiator. That is going to be your massive angle for creating your content and your LinkedIn newsletter. Anyways, let's go back to the call to action.
Oh, you're good. So this is, I will make this joke with you guys too. So call to action, which is where you like tell somebody the next step to take. So if you're listening to a podcast episode, there's usually something in the episode about like subscribe to our newsletter, right? If you look at our LinkedIn newsletter, our call to action is to get them to book a call. But what I was giggling about is we say CTA because we're big old marketing nerds and we like an acronym. We were putting out CTA, these podcasters on our platform. They had no idea what we were talking
No
about.
clue.
So we had to switch that. Again, learnings that you just don't know till you do it. But our call to action in our newsletter, and what I would recommend for all of you, have them either send you a message, or if you have a Calendly, you can link to it and invite them to book a call to talk about working with you, to delegate their podcast processes, give them more opportunity to grow and do the things they're good at, so on and so forth. Again, going back to those differentiators. When you are starting out, you want to work closest to the dollar. What I mean by that is, don't be like, okay, I'm going to build this LinkedIn newsletter, but now I need an opt-in, and I need an opt-in, so I need to get an email marketing. There is 18,000 things you can do. All of those are just extra steps and extra setup when you could literally be talking to prospects and like closing them. Right? So your call to action at the bottom should tie back to, if you want to talk about working together so I can help you with X, Y, and Z, send me a message. Or again, if you have like a Calendly or something set up, link to that so they can book a meeting with you. Work closest to the dollar, like remove the fluff. You can be talking to prospects. Do not be like, oh my God, I can't do this because I don't have MailChimp or Kajabi or blah, 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 all the things. It's just false barriers, you know. That's my what do they call it?
And that's another good point. That ties back to our upcoming virtual sessions. We're going to touch on some of these points, and they're going to be very helpful. Because what about when you get that call? What do you do? What do I say? How do I sell myself? Like,
I'm so pumped for that. And just
right?
as a preview too. So the link, which we'll drop it in, we'll get out of this and then we'll hop back to the comments section and we'll drop them in, as long as we'll also link our LinkedIn newsletter because I think that would be helpful. But podcastmanagementacademy.com/masterclass. That'll bring you to the registration page. Now we are going to host the videos in this group, but I would register because we do have some event specific materials. So we're going to send that to the folks that sign up. We won't like blast it here because maybe not everyone is going to attend, whatever. But we do want you checking those out. So packaging, positioning, that's all in there. Generating leads, closing clients. We have a full dedicated session on that. All of those as well, like those corresponding materials, worksheets, note guides, like please register to get those because it's going to help you firm up a lot of the content that are in those sessions. If you can't tell, we can talk about this stuff all day long.
All day.
When we do a formalized series and a session in them, it has those guides because it's very grounded and very tactical. So when you walk away from that, I want you to quite literally have the guide like in your hands, right? Because then you can go and implement all of these things. Love it.
It's a lot. We covered a lot.
We did. I'm looking, I mean, guys, you should see, I have an outline. So we go back and forth on WhatsApp all the time. And so I'm like looking at it, I'm like, okay, did we hit everything? We hit like all of it and more. So
More.
what
Probably
do we
lots of
want you-
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we want you guys to take away from this call? Number one, all things marketing. We like LinkedIn. Have at it. It's super fun. I think it's an underrated platform in terms of marketing, but it is so well set up for business. Like, please use these platforms to your advantage. LinkedIn will make it so easy for you. Much easier, in my personal opinion, than trying to go start on like a TikTok or an Instagram or things like that, right? If you're just getting started, we do recommend there's 3 things. Video content, we recommended that content block where you can pre-record. LinkedIn newsletter, again, really kind of driving into what the benefits are of working with you. And then using Canva to create some graphics. Just start with 3 posts per week. Once you get yourself started, generally speaking, we do like you to work about 2 weeks out at a time because quite frankly, you have bigger fish to fry than every single day trying to figure out what you're going to post. Put that prep time in, right? And I think the most important thing is like, be okay with taking imperfect action. Everybody starts there, literally everybody. Like nobody figures this out right the first time around. And then once you're 12 months in, you'll have all these learnings and you'll be like, oh my gosh, we have to retweak all of these things because we know more, but that's what you want, right? So just start with what you have and where you are. You can always grow from there, and you will grow from there, which is the most exciting part. Did I miss any core takeaways?
No, but if anyone has any questions, you can, private message us. You can drop it in the chat. We'll be here.
Yay,
We'll answer
love
everything.
it. This is exciting. Also, sorry if I cut you off at any point. I'm like a little laggy on my like StreamYard connection here. So
It's all good.
hopefully it all was good. But please, like I said, leverage us, leverage our skills, ask us all the questions in the world. If you want us to do a deeper dive into content topics, let us know in the comments below. We're more than happy to do that. We're always happy to answer your questions. So send them away, whether it's comments, DMs, or anything else. And make sure that you register for the masterclass because it's coming up in like, what, 2 weeks now, I guess.
2 weeks.
End
Yeah.
of February. We're super pumped for it. It'll be a good one. So make sure you register for that. We'll drop the link to that below, and we'll also link to a couple of our LinkedIn newsletters so you can see what those look like. Other than that, any parting words, Camille?
No, I can't think of anything. I think we covered it all and more today. Everything that was
Awesome.
on our WhatsApp list.
Oh my God, you guys, you should see these WhatsApp lists. Like they're ambitious.
And we schedule out videos too. So, I mean, when you're scheduling a video, make yourself notes, do what you have to do and just get it
Totally.
done. Show up for yourself.
Show up for yourself. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, have a great night. As always, thank you for hanging out with us. If you need anything, post, DM, comment, do all the things. We will find you. We're here to support you. And just as always, thank you for being a part of our community.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.